Hello viewers, let's make some delicious Korean rice wine with acorns. So this is a seasonally appropriate recipe. Happy Thanksgiving, all my American viewers. Interesting fact, who has acorn recipes? Koreans and Native Americans. If you like this video, please click that like button and subscribe. My recipe is going to have 10% acorn starch. The rest is rice. What could possibly go wrong? Are there any surprises coming up? Have to watch and see. So let's get started with the acorn starch. This is acorn starch, not acorn flour. So there's no protein in it. It's just the starch part. It is very powdery. I'm going to open this carefully. And then instead of just dumping it out, I'm going to spoon it out a little bit at a time. It is very finely powdered. So 100 grams of the acorn starch and 100 grams of rice flour. So that, I'm going to make a porridge with that, juk. Add 750 milliliters of water. And keep stirring that until it thickens. Now acorn starch is used in the Korean recipes to make acorn jelly, dotori muk. So that's a traditional Korean recipe. That's a very solid kind of jelly. So I'm expecting this to be quite thick, this porridge I'm making. So I'm keep on stirring it, waiting for it to thicken up. Oh yeah, okay. It's super thick now. So let's put that aside. I'm in a hurry. It needs to cool to room temperature. I'm going to put it in this ice water bath. As we're waiting for that to cool, I'm going to prepare the naruk. Here's 90 grams of naruk and a quarter teaspoon of wine yeast and the remainder of the water, 250 milliliters. I'm going to stir that well and set it aside and wait for the porridge to cool. Now this is really thick. If I was smarter, I would have done this in a larger container. This is really hard to get in the jar. I would have done it in a larger container and then mixed in the naruk in the pot rather than... Yeah, so I'm just trying to get all of this liquefied so I can pour it into the fermentation jar. And I really want to stir this well, so I'm going to stir this for 5 minutes. Get that naruk mixed in with the starches as best I can. Okay, I'm going to close the lid loosely and put it in a dark place. It's pretty cool. It's about 19 degrees Celsius, 67 degrees Fahrenheit. So 9 hours later, notice anything happening here? This has really expanded. It's below that marking before. Now it's way above it. It's all puffed up. Okay, well, I have to stir this anyhow. That'll deflate it. Whoa, wait a minute. Okay, so after 1 day, it has totally filled up this container. Somehow a small amount of solids and a liter of water has totally filled this 3-liter jar. That is very, very strange how this could happen. Yeah, look at that. So all the bubbles it's turned puffy and foamy. Each bubble has been produced and has stuck around. Okay, so I'm going to have to stir this. Luckily, it collapses immediately when I stir it. It's very soft, but it's super puffy. So I'm going to be careful to stir this frequently, 3 times a day for the first 2 days. Okay, it's bubbling. It is fermenting, obviously, but hopefully it won't puff up as much. I'm going to have to keep my eye on it and stir it frequently. And day 2 is when we make the steamed rice, the go-to-bop, and we're going to add that. That's the second stage. So wash it for 15 minutes as usual. Let it soak and drain it for 30 minutes. Now we're ready to steam it. And after we've steamed it for 40 minutes, we're going to lay it out to cool. So I just wanted to get, so this is mostly rice. It's only 10% acorn starch. I didn't want to tamper with the recipe too much. I still want to produce something fermentable and mostly like regular makgeolli, but with the acorn flavor. That's what I want. I was just surprised by the puffiness. Maybe that's, okay, now it's all mixed in. Maybe that's why acorn makgeolli, I haven't really heard of that before. Maybe that's why it's not a common thing to brew with. Okay, it's getting, seems a little dry, crusty on the top. I'm going to stir that. Okay, well, it's definitely fermenting. You know, starch should ferment with the, since added the naruk. So that starch should be converted to sugar and it should ferment. It looks like that's happening, so that's good. It's pretty cool, so fermentation is slow. Notice the zone where it's liquid at the bottom is pretty small. This could be better. So I'm going to let this go as long as possible. Make sure I have a complete fermentation. So this is going to be a long and slow fermentation, just because it's cooler. Okay, it's been 2 weeks, and the grains of rice are getting more uniform at the bottom there. I'm going to bottle it. It's pretty liquid. I'm going to use this kind of strainer where I can just pour the whole jar into that bag. Use as big a bowl as possible. Don't make a mess. I want to get every scrap I can out of that jar. Okay, just get that drawstring out of the way. I don't want it getting wet. As I strain it, okay, and then just squeeze. There's a lot of surface area in this bag. It's easy to use. Okay, here's the leftover, 314 grams. Not bad. It's a rich color, considering it's only 10% acorn. It's made a difference in the color. Okay, there it is. Not quite 2 liters, less than 2 liters this time. The sediment is very fine. It takes a long time to settle. This is after a few days. It has taken a really long time to settle. Okay, now this is after 5 days, and I better do some taste testing. I'm going to taste the top layer, the changju, and I'm going to taste it all mixed together, the wanju. So I'm tasting this undiluted. First, the changju. It's pretty harsh, high alcohol. There's a little bit of sweetness, but also a bitter aftertaste. And okay, well, let's try the wanju. Okay, this has an interesting feel in your mouth. It's very smooth. I'm sure that's because of the acorn starch. very smooth feel. The initial taste is a little nutty, like a raw nut. Later on, it's more bitter. The aftertaste is bitter. Again, this tastes a little harsh, like quite high alcohol. I'm surprised. So that's my seasonally appropriate recipe. I hope you enjoyed this acorn-based makgeolli. If you have any comments, let me know down below. Thank you for watching.